How's it going, folks? We're back at the range today, and last time we were here we were doing a range test, seeing how far you can shoot back with the bat reverse. And today we are actually going to be going through the process of choosing your hunting bolt. So whenever you order your sting bolts online, you'll get a pack of 6 of them. I recommend getting 2 packs, 1 pack for just practicing and then 1 pack for hunting. So it's super important to make sure you choose the best flying bolts that fly out of your crossbow, and then from there on you can build them. So the first step I'm gonna do today is, so I got 6 bolts right here. I'm gonna shoot them. I'm gonna just go shoot them a few times, and I'm gonna figure out if there's any bolts in this group that are flying crooked or aren't hitting, straight on. After you find out what bolts don't fly good, you're gonna set those aside, and you're going to add an insert in them, test them with the inserts, eliminate any bolts that don't fly as good as the others. From there, you're gonna put on the broadhead, and you're gonna figure out what bolts fly the best with a certain broadhead out of your bow. So that's pretty much the overview of today's video, and I'm gonna show you guys step by step how to do that. And first of all, of course, let's get shooting and see how these bolts fly. All right, we'll make this quick. Take 6 shots, we'll retrieve the bolts, and we'll do that a couple times just to make sure everything's flying good. All right, so after taking a couple dozen shots, I was able to figure out which bolts are flying better than the others. So I found that 3 of these bolts are kind of flying wonky. Don't know why, but like I said, some of them just don't like the crossbow as much as the other ones. And then 3 of them are flying pretty dang good. So from here on out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and we are going to add the inserts in them to add weight to them, because these are going to be my hunting bolts. Folks, so here we are in the truck, and I'm gonna show you guys how easy it is to do this. So we have our 3 bolts that we want to swap out the inserts and change them out for the steel inserts. These are 120 grain steel inserts. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take out these little knocks we got here for later, light knocks. Got hot glue that we're gonna need. And then of course, we got the inserts right here. You're gonna need a torch. Don't wanna light down my car, so you gotta be careful with this. However, I will do it in here. Then we got pliers. We're gonna need these to pull the inserts out, and it's a fairly easy project. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna light this up. Check that, it's out, gonna kill the gas. So now that we got that, we're going to take these inserts right here. And because this is out, I'm just gonna use a lighter, and we're gonna grab this glue right here, this hot glue. And what you're gonna do is just melt it. Just as soon as it starts getting clear, you're going to take it, shove it in there, boom. And you're gonna have a bunch of glue like that, access glue. And what you wanna do is wipe it down with something. If you don't got anything, just wet your fingers and boom, just like that. And you can clean up the glue once it's not as hot anymore. So just kind of work on it, smooth it out, just like this. Boom. Gonna do the same thing to the next bolt. Okay. Quickly in there all the way and let it cool down. All right, so I got the 3 sting bolts with the inserts on here. cleaned up the glue a bit. Now ideally you want to put the broadhead on right away, and you want to make sure that it's twisted on there the right way, that it's parallel to what you want to do, but it's kind of hard out here with the torch not working, but we'll do that. We'll just go shoot these a few more times, make sure that these are shooting straight. They should be, but just in case, let's just go shoot them a couple times, and then we'll throw on the broadhead. Okay. All right, so they all hit in a nice area. They all flew straight. So now we're gonna throw on the broadhead, make sure that they're twisted on the right way, and we'll do a little speed test and weigh them out. All right, so now we're gonna grab our broadheads, and I use Schwackers. I do have a couple G5s also, but I found that these G5 Montecs don't fly quite as good with the crossbow. I might just have to tune them up, and maybe I'll test it today or some other time. But I did find that the Schwackers have a lower profile, and it really helps with the flight of the crossbow. And let me show you guys what I was talking about. So you see how it's not on there straight? So that's because there's a thread in this steel insert. So what you want to do is you want to heat it up and twist the insert to where the broadhead is either sitting like this or like this. That's pretty good. So see, just like that, I twisted it on there, and now it's good and straight. Just like this. And I'll do this to all of them. All right, so this part kind of sucks because I only have one practice broadhead. So it takes a little longer. I can't just shoot all three and call it good, but so now you're just gonna shoot them and see which ones fly the best. Okay, so that was dead on. All right, so after taking a few shots, I found that one of these bolts tends to shoot a little high and to the left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this out of the batch, just that I don't have a random flying bolt. So, you know, I can just place this aside. I can use this just to practice with, but I'm not gonna wanna hunt with a bolt that's not shooting the same way as these do. So with these bolts, I shot them a couple times. They're hitting in the same spot. They're both grouping pretty well. Hitting the same mark. So from here on out, you know, you can mark them. If you want to, you could put a light knock on there. I have light knocks, but I found that, I mean, you have to make your own light knocks for these bolts. But if you make a light knock, you also want to just make sure that the light knocks aren't screwing up the flight of the bolt. Okay, so now that we got all the bolts figured out and tested out, I was mentioning the light knocks, and I'll just go ahead and show you guys these light knocks. And these are DIY light knocks, so you can see I'll push them in. This one's kind of dead. Let me grab one that's good. This one's pretty good, or one of these is, yeah, it's this one. So you can see there's the light knock, but the biggest issue with these light knocks is because no one actually manufactures micro diameter light knocks for crossbows yet, you do have to make them yourself. And the one issue that might happen with this is, if you look, so I got 3 light knocks right here, right? But if you can notice, all of them are kind of a little different. I mean, just because you have to hand sand them down and file them down, the grooves are a little off and they're not all identical. Now, I did try to make them as close as possible to identical as I can to each other, but you know, with hand filing, you're not gonna get it perfect. So the next step would be getting your bolts, the ones that fly great with the broadhead and everything, and you would go ahead and you'd place this light knock in here. You just pull this you just pull this knock out of the sting bolt and replace it with this, and you just want to make sure that the bolts are shooting straight. You know, I'm not going to show you guys this because it's going to be getting pretty repetitive. You're just shooting the bolts, making sure everything flies straight. With these light knocks, you know, you just want to make sure that they're sanded down right, and if they're not sanded down right, it might cause a little different weird pressure points on the string. So when it does come down to sanding these down, you just want to make them as half moon as possible, kind of like this one right here. It's kind of hard to see, there you go, but you know, like that. As long as they're not sharp, they're not going to cut the string, you should be good. So that's a wrap for the video, guys. So this is just pretty much how to choose your sting bolts and turn them into a hunting bolt. It's a pretty simple process. It does take some time. You know, you got your bolts, you're going to shoot all of them a few times, make sure check which ones are flying straight, which ones aren't flying as good. Most of the time they are flying all relatively straight. This batch was just a batch of arrows that was laying around, so I kind of had more of them that weren't flying as straight. But when you have a fresh pack, most of the time all of them are flying straight. You know, I've only had once where there was 2 bolts in there that weren't flying as good. But you still want to just make sure, shoot all your bolts, make sure they're all flying straight, and from there, you know, you build your arrow out, you put your broadhead on, you put your light knocks on, and these are going to be your hunting bolts. Your broadhead, your light knocks, the whole full round, full circle, and these are weighing around 220 grains, so it's plenty. But yeah, there we go, guys. That's a wrap for this video. Oh, camera almost fell down, it's getting windy. But yeah, guys, that's a wrap. How to choose your hunting bolts and how to build them out. So, fully customizable. I'll leave a link in the description to these hunting bolts. Don't forget, we got 13-inch and 16-inch sting bolts.